It's MistaJam on Capital Dance, and I am joined by two artists I have been a fan of for a very, very long time. Two artists that I've known for a long time, but this is the first time that we've got them in the Capital Dance studio. Kideko, A-Trak, welcome to Capital Dance.
Thanks.
Yes, Mr. Thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure.
Great to see you.
It's great to see you. A-Trak, I haven't seen you in ages, man.
Been a couple of years, I know, yeah.
It's been a long while.
Yeah.
You haven't aged a day. How have you done that? I look like 75 years older.
You look great.
It's all the jet lag keeping you young.
You know, that's the secret. Yeah. You get so tired that you're not tired.
I'm not tired anymore. I don't know what time frame I'm on, but it's all good. I'm good.
You crossed the boundary.
You've gone back in time.
Yeah.
That's how tired you are.
I think so.
I love it. Now, there's a load that I want to talk to the pair of you about, but we will get there because the reason why you're here is because Loving You, your collaborative record, is our Jam Hot Record of the Week. Now, this song, I was just saying off air, it's just a pure, unadulterated ball of positive dance flyer energy. Do you know what I mean? It's just proper. It's just... It's one of those ones where you don't quite have words. You just...
That's the reaction we were hoping for.
Yeah.
That was it.
I'm telling you, the
scream.
first time I heard it, I'm like, God. I literally had to pause it like, they haven't, have they? And you have. You really, really have. Kideko, let's start with you. Where did the idea for the track come from? Was it the sample?
Yeah, so I was sample digging, came across this old soul 70s tune from a band called Raw Soul Dog. And yeah, as soon as I heard it, I just knew it had to be chopped up. There's so many good bits in the tune. Yeah, so I got to work just taking my favourite bits, and then as soon as I sped it up, put some house drums on it. It's like, yeah, it's a banger. Worked on it for a couple of days, but it felt like it needed a bit of extra sauce, so I had to call on the sauciest guy I know.
The sauciest guy in the scene?
Yeah, exactly.
The sauciest guy in the world?
Yeah. No, obviously I've been a big fan of A-Trak for ages. And,
Appreciate it. Yeah.
I slid in the DMs.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, because I'd been playing a bunch of your tracks for a long time too, and probably starting with when you worked with The Magician, I think is when I first got familiar. Yeah. And
A-Trak knows his music.
Yeah.
Trust me, you listen.
But, you know, I think that's something that's really cool about the DJ scene in general is like we play each other's records and then we'll end up working with each other. And there's these connections are pretty easy to make because it's like, oh, I play your songs. Sure, I'll make a song with you, you know?
Because I was going to ask, there must be so many people in the DMs. A-Trak's going, hey, here's a demo. What do you think? Would you want to jump on this? But what was it specifically about this idea that was like, do you know what? Yes.
Yeah, you know what's funny? I think also specifically because of my work with Duck Sauce, a lot of people send me sort of disco loops and that sort of soulful disco, you know, sample-based track. And there's a lot that I don't take on as collaborations. It has to really hit me in a special way. And to me, Duck Sauce is just what it is. And I try to not, you know, infringe on that territory too much. And I just think that there's a lot of like disco type loops that are like not quite special enough to be a track that, you know, gets released out to the world. You can make a ton of fun little bootlegs for sets, but is something like a song.
Yeah.
But when Ryan reached out and, you know, like you mentioned, that dum 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 kind of breakdown, but that was one of the parts that really caught my ear because I remember just thinking, I've never heard that in this kind of house record, and which is different from like, you know, for a little while, maybe 2 years ago, a lot of people were making the breakdowns that slow down.
Yes, the LF system thing.
The LF system thing.
Yeah,
we would try down.
But this one just goes fully to halftime. Like it really stays at the same tempo, but like half, which is different, and it felt like a hip-hop sample to me. Like it felt like a Kanye College Dropout kind of beat, and then it goes back to this sort of familiar disco-y house thing. So I was like, oh, this is like ticking a few boxes for me that, you know. So yeah, I decided to jump on, and it took a little while to get it fully done and then even to release it, but I think we both felt that it was special.
It was worth the time. It was really worth the time because I think, you know, for me, it's exactly as you say. It's unique and it's fresh, but it's familiar at the same time. It's the fact that the sample is chopped up and it does lots of different things. And for me, Like if you were putting this out in 1999, then this would be on roulette. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's that.
Wow, that is that's a compliment.
That's a compliment, of course.
No, but it is.
Yeah.
It is. It's so, yeah. I don't have words. When I like a record so much, I don't have words, which doesn't necessarily work for my job as a radio DJ.
Yeah, sometimes I like tracks that make my face scrunch up in a certain, stink face kind of expression, but you can't make the stink face on the radio.
No. We all are right now, listener. We are, dear listener. But what's it like to kind of road test this in your DJ sets? What's the reaction been like?
Yeah, it's been amazing. It feels like, I think because of the breakdowns and how there's not many tunes that do it in the same way, it does feel like a bit of a moment, especially with the kind of high-pitched moment in the second breakdown. It's just good high energy that seems to be working.
The other thing that I love about the pair of you coming together is that I can't put either of you in a musical box. I just know that what you both do is really good. Now, Kideko, I want to talk to you about a post on Instagram from the beginning of the year, because you posted that a couple of years back you considered quitting music.
Yeah.
Tell me that story.
I thought we were going to talk about your pizza making.
That's what I was hoping for.
That's why he was quitting music. He's going to go full-time pizza.
Yeah, I got a bit scared. I was like, oh no, what post?
Well, there was that one on the stories.
To be honest, I feel like as a creative, I feel like a lot of producer friends that I speak to, it's kind of just part of the process, and I feel like there's a lot of self-doubt when you're doing something creative and put yourself out there in that way. I guess more specifically a couple of years ago, it was just kind of asking myself, like, is this what I want to be doing?
Was there something in particular that sparked it, or was it just that kind of creative lull that everyone gets themselves into at some point?
Yeah, I think it was just that. It was kind of felt a bit lost, wasn't really sure what I wanted to make, and I was kind of being influenced a lot by what I was seeing on socials or what other people were making, what was in, certain charts or on playlists. Being influenced by that maybe a bit too much, but then over the last couple of years, I sort of said to myself, if I'm considering quitting, I may as well just make sure I'm doing what I want to do, exactly how I want to do it. And thankfully, it seems to be working. So,
was there any particular catalyst to make you want to change that mindset?
I
mean, we're getting deep. Yeah. But you got deep on your Instagram post, so it's your fault.
I started it. Not really. As I said, I think it kind of is just something that is part of the creative process for me, and I think it's learning that as well and just kind of accepting that and taking the pressure off when I'm maybe not feeling so creative to just take a step back, make some pizzas, and then get back to it.
So that's something that, I've always admired about you, A-Trak, is that, it always feels like you're doing something. And whenever you seem to kind of get like a little bit bored of one thing, you've got something else that you go and do. And it's all a creative pursuit. Is that on purpose? Is that actually how you operate?
I think so, yeah. I think the way that I found that I operate best is to always work on a couple projects at the same time, which isn't always ideal for deadlines, because there's probably people that deliver faster. But, whether even just the simple fact that, I run Full School, the label, and I do my own DJing, of course, and then produce a couple different projects. Everything kind of...
And you're also a fashion icon, and you're also... I mean, there's quite a lot of things. There's quite a lot of strings to your bow.
No, but...
Come on!
Within the music stuff, everything kind of bleeds into one another creatively, where, I'll be on the road DJing on the other side of the world, and I'll meet a DJ that I'll end up signing, to release on Full School. Like, for instance, the next release that we're putting out is by a Korean DJ called Coker, who I met when I played a gig in Seoul last year. And I was like, whoa, this guy's really cool. He's making sort of like, I got to send it to you because it's like very UK influenced. It's like if you take all the styles of UK club music and throw it in a blender, but then send that blender to Seoul, Korea.
Wow.
And they flip it their way. I'm like, well, this is cool. Let's put it out on Fool's Gold, you know? And then, you know, a project on Fool's Gold might lead to a collaboration that I do in the studio myself. You know what I mean? So it's not actually these different buckets that make up what I work on all feed each other, you know? And even musically, you know, I might jump from a hip hop project to a disco house project, a more sort of like, you know, just other types of techie house, like what I've been making with AJ Christou recently. But I think that there's kind of like a connective tissue of like, you know, sort of sample-based, soulful, you know, like a hip-hop grit to how I approach electronic music. So again, it's not all that different. You know, like I hope at least that if you listen to a record I made with Cameron and you listen to the song with Kideko,
you can hear
sort
the
of
through line.
Yeah, it's like, all right, there's you know, characteristics that show up in these various records.
But it's funny for me because both of you have that in the music that you make individually, but also now collectively with this particular record. Because for you, Kideko, I mean, I've been supporting your music for a very long time. Can't quite believe that this year is 10 years of Kideko.
Yeah, crazy. I can't believe that either.
That's nuts, right?
Yeah, it's mad. It's mad. 10 years since the Jam came out this year, which you were a very big...
Amazing.
Yeah, supporter of.
I'm laughing because that was kept for a long time when I used to use a DJ program called Serato. I know both of you know that, but for the listeners, that was in a folder called If All Else Fails.
I love that. I love that. I want to start like a little series where I just get DJs to talk about the names of their folders and playlists.
That record has never failed.
Yeah.
Never failed.
I have a playlist called Spicy Vibes. I have a playlist called Mind F Word. Mind. So yeah, I like original playlist names.
I love it.
Yeah.
Do you know what? That's the name of the album right there. The pair of you got to make an album. It's just called Spicy
Vibes.
Spicy vibes.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
It means something to me. That's what's important. Is like the user has to, you know.
You know what it means.
Yeah.
And you know what? There's going to be about 8 Kideko records in Spicy Vibes. Because you always bring the Spicy Vibes. Kideko, would you say there's any standout moments over the last 10 years? Something that's kind of made you go, wow.
This, of course, being here, chatting to you. Creamfields, when I played there, I mean, yeah, a good few years ago now. That was playing the Jam again, actually, and hearing, obviously it's a big vocal sample, but hearing people sing that back was crazy. A party that I did in Brighton, when I had the track Crank It Out, we had Fatboy Slim come down, who for me is like a musical hero. I mean, he's the guy who got me into dance music. When I first saw him play, I was like, that's what I want to do.
If you're a Brighton resident, that'll do it for you.
Exactly, yeah. And he came down as a secret special guest to play at one of our parties. That was definitely a stand-up moment, which actually didn't end up being that secret in the end, because he said when he left his house, he was like, his neighbour was like, "Hey Norman, are you playing in Brighton now, right?" And he's like, "Oh, we only told a couple of people, I swear." But yeah, there was like queues outside for hours waiting to get in. So people must have found out somehow. I mean, every time, like, it never gets old, like, hearing my tunes on the radio being played by you and, like, playing shows and just seeing people react to my music. It never gets old, so it's always kind of surreal.
Now, Kideko, we've already spoken and celebrated 10 years of Kideko. But A-Trak.
Yes.
I remember the very, very, very first time I heard of you.
Okay.
I was probably about 13, 14 years old, and I thought, you know what, I'm learning how to DJ. Let me buy a DMC video and see what the standard is. And I saw you on one of those videos. I was like, no, I'm just going to be a club DJ. I've got to talk to you about, first and foremost, the Instagram series Digging in the Crates.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yes.
I love that series. I love the fact that you're taking us through your record collection and you're showing for a generation of people who call them vinyls rather than records.
That thing.
Yeah. You're showing the collection, you're showing the history. Was it important for you to do that?
Yeah, I have to be honest. There's a lot of things that I do selfishly in my music. and luckily some of it connects. That series started because most of my record collection was in storage for a really long time. And at the end of the pandemic, after just staying home for long enough and thinking like, I could actually put my records up on the walls. I have time. I'm home. I got my records out of storage and put everything up in one place for the first time in so long that I started filming stuff. I was just like basking in the joy of having, certain records that I had just bought, a year ago next to records that were put away for 15 years that I hadn't seen in that long. So I started filming some stuff and just kind of pulling through records because I myself was getting reacquainted with certain records. And I couldn't believe also how much I remembered records that were put away for 15, 16 years. There's like a whole tangent that I could go on about like our memory and how I don't remember what I had for lunch yesterday, but you show me one record that I bought 20 years ago and I'll tell you, oh yeah, I bought that one on the same day as this one. This is what's on the B-side. There's a scratch on the second side, You remember all these things, We all are, for sure.
I can't remember where I put my socks, but I can tell you exactly where my mint copy of Day and Night is.
It's on the second shelf behind that one. And the day that you bought it, this other thing happened. Yeah. So I was just kind of going off of that enthusiasm, and I just started filming stuff, and then it became an Instagram series. Last month, I packed a crate of records and went down to Miami. There's a really cool vinyl club in LA called Dante's Hi-Fi. And I went to play a set there for my friends that run it. And I don't remember when's the last time I traveled with a crate of vinyl. Man, I was like, we used to do this?
Yeah.
Like, I remember touring in the UK when I was, in the vinyl days, basically, like, coming out here in like 2001, 2002, with like 2 crates of records and a scratch mixer, because in those years I would bring my own mixer because I couldn't trust a club to have the crossfader that I like. Man, we used to do this.
There's the fee gone, excess baggage charges.
Yes, literally. Because by the way, the airlines here,
we'll charge you.
I remember the first times that I flew like EasyJet in those airlines. The flight is 150 pounds, but the luggage charge is 500 pounds. And you're like, there goes my tour budget. So all that stuff, that was, So I'm also kind of in a funny position because I scratch. I have these records that I show on my socials. So I think people think I'm a vinyl purist. And people come talk to me and be like, oh yeah, do you want to play my vinyl night? And I'm always like, no. I'll once a year I'll bring a crate somewhere, if that. And that whole weekend I'll text 10 of my friends and be like, do you remember how much this stuff weighs? This stuff is heavy. And then I'll remember how scrawny, tiny I was when I was 16 doing the DMC battles, and I'll be like, I used to carry this. Now I work out. Now I go to the gym. I can't carry this. I was doing this then.
As a Renaissance man, as you are, what is the thing that keeps you going? Because for anyone that is watching or listening right now who doesn't know the history, first and foremost, go and do the research, because there is very few aspects of dance music, electronic music, hip-hop culture that you haven't had a hand in. In 2025, so many artists got their break through Fool's Gold. So many artists came to you for advice and an opinion. And so many genres and so many things have come from what you helped pioneer. What is it that keeps you motivated?
First of all, thank you.
Just facts.
I think at this point in time, again, it goes back to like a little bit of that selfish thing where like a lot of what I do, I still do it because, well, luckily I still love it, but I still have the itch of, a couple things that I feel like I can still do better, improve, or do more of. And, through the years, I've been DJing for 27 years or something. So I've had my share of periods where I've thought about giving up too, for sure. But I think having powered through enough of those, forks in the road, you get to a point where you sort of accept, like, this is who I am, this is my identity. On any given year, there's going to be another DJ who's got the hype of the year, who might be higher billed on a festival flyer, but I've been here long enough and I'm going to stay here long enough that I'm comfortable with where I am. And of course, I'll still be ambitious and I'll still try to raise, and I'm, you know, and we'll try to get more records, you know, playlisted on Capital Dance. I'm, you know, I'm not done with those goals, but I do think that it's been nice to just feel okay knowing what it is what's my identity as a DJ, as an artist, and just trying to make the best version of that. I'm very grateful to still, you know, be excited every time I'm on my way to a gig after this long. So I don't take that for granted, because I started when I was 13. My career took off when I won the DMC at 15. My voice hadn't changed. I was a different person, you know? And
although we do have to talk about the fact that that video is on YouTube and it's almost at 2 million views, and the amount of people that you see in the comments going, that can't be the same A-Trak.
It's funny, yeah. I had more attitude then than now. I'll look at it now and be like, that kid was like kind of cocky. Like, I used to be the youngest guy in my group, in the friend group, and then there's a point where I wasn't. And then there's a point where I started Fool's Gold and I had a platform to champion other people's music and use some of the leverage that I had from what I was known for doing as A-Trak, and say, hey, by the way, here's something that I think is really cool. You guys should listen. And, you know, turning that dynamic around and putting the spotlight on other people, and, you know, which in a way also kind of takes a little bit of pressure away from me. There's certain time periods where it's nice to not feel like I have to have the smash record that summer, because maybe I just find something that I put out on my label and I can just, you know, focus on them for a little bit while I wait for the next run of inspiration. But becoming passionate about, you know, helping other people come up, I think also gives longevity. That's something that is really enriching. It's nourishing to you know, share a platform with other people.
And something else that you are absolutely amazing at is the art of collaboration, because you collab really well.
Yeah.
There's so many artists that can't.
Yeah,
this is all of my idea. This is
there's
mine. Nobody else has this. This is me.
But there's two sides to that. There's plenty of things that I'm not great at as a producer by myself. You know, so I think I have ideas, and I have a certain knowledge of music that spans a lot of time. So I'll hear something, it'll spark, my mind will, you know, make connections to like a bunch of other things, maybe a record from 20 years ago and another record that just came out, and then I'll figure out how to turn that into production. But I've watched producers sit and make a track, you know, start to finish in 2 hours. It takes me a month to make a track by myself. So sometimes collaborating just helps, you know, get past the roadblocks. And yeah, I just enjoy it.
I mean, look, you know, we would be remiss in having you in the Capital Dance Studio not mention Duck Sauce, because I love the fact that the new era of Duck Sauce is you guys over at the Defected, with the Defected crew. Yeah, it feels like a marriage made in heaven.
Yeah, it's been fun working with that crew, and yeah. Even for that project, like, you know, Armand and I honestly make tracks kind of selfishly. We just get together, make songs in person. We don't really we only do the email thing when it's like little tweaks. Yeah. But we come up with records together, and we just kind of look at each other and we try to find that reaction. Maybe we're trying to make each other laugh. A lot of times we're trying to make each other laugh. Or we're just trying to bring something out of each other. And when it's there, that's when we decide that the song is a keeper. And hopefully there's something, if it's contagious between us two, then hopefully other people react.
Now, Kideko, I'm very interested to hear what's happening for you for the rest of the year.
Taking each day as it comes. I've got loads of new music, of course.
Hard drive full?
Yeah, very full. I have got a track coming out on Toolroom, which I'm not sure if I was allowed to say, but
you've got a track.
We said it now. So.
You've got a track coming out on a very reputable label that we can't mention on air just yet.
But yeah, that's one that I'm super excited about, because it's a label that I've been a huge fan of for years. And more music on my label. I mean, I've been speaking about the idea of doing an album for a couple of years on my label. I'm kind of hoping it will just, as the hard drives grow, I'll be able to pick tunes and be like, that's the album. but we'll see.
I feel
Yeah,
like
just
we're
more
back in
music.
the era of the album. To be
Yeah.
brutally honest,
Yeah.
especially within electronic music, I feel like if you give people an album, you're giving them a body of work of music that they can really understand who you are.
Right.
I feel like we need that again. And even people like John Summit who put out an album, and you go, oh, wow, look at the difference between the way that people saw John before he put out the album. He was Party Boy John, he's here, there, and everywhere, and then he's put the album. Oh, he's a serious artist.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like we're back there.
I'm here for it. I feel
Yeah.
like in terms of the creative process, it kind of gives you a focus, and it's. I mean, I haven't done it yet, but yeah, just the creative process of making something all make sense as a body of work is a special thing, I think, and it kind of, yeah, I just feel like it kind of solidifies you and tells your story a bit more.
A-Trak, 2025 plans.
Well,
Which one of the 800 projects are we going to get this year? Come on!
there's more sauce for sure. Yeah, some more Duck Sauce releases. The current single, Fallen in Love, we have a Butch remix that's coming in a few weeks that we're pretty excited about. Very excited about.
I've heard that.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you.
Very
Yeah.
good.
He did the Butch thing.
Yes!
And then we have a couple of other Duck Sauce originals that we'll be finishing up that are going to come out this year. My brother and I do a project called the Brothers Maklovich. My brother's in the band Chromeo, and we are the Brothers Maklovich. And
Sorry, I love when you keep doing this.
more projects or what?
Yes! Well, we've got this project and
Yeah.
this project. And also you and your brother are together, the DJ sets that you do
Yeah.
online as well.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, we've been doing these DJ sets that started more so during the pandemic, and we've been playing some gigs. Last summer we did a bunch of Ibiza sets. Actually, a lot of stuff with the Glitterbox family too, and we're working on some music. We put out 2 songs in like 2020, 2021. So it's been a few years already. So there's going to be some music from that project that's a little bit more on the sort of soulful house side of things. And then, yeah, just more collabs for me, and then the label, touring, all that stuff.
Well, I'm very, very excited for the rest of the year for both of you individually. And also, I think that this collab worked so well. I would be doing the world a disservice by not saying you should do another one together.
We're going to work on that. We have plans.
You should. You really should.
Thanks.
If this is what you make together, do another one, please.
Yeah. Thanks.
Do it again.
Thanks.
Do it again.
Yeah, nice.